I'm recording this so I can share it in email for everyone that registered and isn't able to attend. So that's why it's being recorded. So I'm all about timely starts. So you're welcome to leave your camera on or off, completely up to you. I know some of you may be at work. Probably best not to always have it on. But we're going to get started. Okay. So I'm super glad you're here. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because once I figured this part out, so many other things to my weight loss journey fell into place. So if you've ever felt like your body's been fighting you instead of working with you, this is the perfect time to just take a deep breath. We're about to change this. Most of us have met through TikTok, maybe Instagram. But for those of you that are new, I'm Amy Myers. I'm a certified mental wellness advocate. I was a former eighth grade history teacher, and I left the classroom to pursue wellness and become a coach and all of this thing. So this class is all about helping women finally understand why they feel stuck and how to get their metabolism to work again. So if this sounds like you, drop a heart in the comments. We'll be participating a lot over there. And if I can manage letting people in and doing the slideshow and managing comments, I'm going to do it all. So definitely be patient with me. I'm hoping to figure it all out. Okay. So why are you here? Well, let's be honest. Most of us have tried everything. Drop in the comments how many diets you've probably tried in the last 2 decades. You've cut carbs, you've eaten clean, you did extra workouts, and somehow the scale doesn't move. So Amy says 4. Doesn't move in our favor. Our genes still don't fit right, and our energy typically tanks around 3 p.m. every single day. And Melissa's 10 to 20. Joyce has 4. And here's one thing we really have to know. We are not broken. We are not faulty. Your body's actually in protection mode. And we talk a lot about this in TikTok. So today we're going to talk about the real reason your metabolism slows down and how insulin becomes the fat storing switch and how to flip it back to a fat burning switch. Because once you understand insulin, literally everything can change. So again, my name is Amy Myers. I'm 50 years old. I'm surgical menopause. So my hysterectomy happened in my early 30s because everything was dysfunctional and incredibly disruptive, and that was an option. I've been married to Greg for 30 plus years. If you're married, drop in the notes how long you've been married, and a little bit about yourself. I also have 2 sons. They have been out on their own for a while, so I'm an empty nester. And I say that I'm in the happy era. I'm in my happy area because for so many years, I struggled with weight. I struggled with body confidence, always dieting. And once I found this sustained weight loss, everything started falling into place. But it took my mental wellness journey to get there. So I had to start feeling better before I could lose the weight. And Amy Rogers, congratulations, 21 years, 42 years. Love it. Congratulations, Kit, to you and your husband. Okay, so let's dive in. What is insulin really? So I want you to think of insulin as your body's boss for sugar. So when we eat, your blood sugar rises, and insulin helps move that sugar into your cells for energy. But here's the problem. When we eat too often, because we have cravings and we want a snack or whatever the case is, we can often spike our blood sugar. And things, especially like refined carbs, free drinks, processed snacks, our cells just start ignoring insulin. So when our cells ignore insulin, it is basically shutting off fat burning. And that's called insulin resistance. And have you heard of that term before? Insulin resistance. Okay. So it's like insulin is knocking on the door, but your cells are like, no one's home. They're not going to answer. And when that happens, your body stores fat, and especially it stores it around this midsection. And then you feel tired and foggy and frustrated and all the negative things that just make us feel like we're always out of balance. So let's just do a quick check. Pop a 1 below if you struggle with some of these things. You're doing all the things right, but you can't lose the belly fat. Oh, and I'm going to come back in and read comments. Joyce, 37 years. adult children and 3 grandkids. Oh, that's amazing. 31 years, Melissa. Congratulations. Sons are 26 and 27.
Oh God.
Wonderful, wonderful. One, Joyce, one. You crash mid-afternoon or constantly crave carbs. Anyone struggle there?
Just me.
You can drop a one there. Yep. Yes. Okay. What about when you wake up? Do you feel bloated or puffy? Still feeling the supper from last night? Okay. What about feeling tired or moody or hangry more often than you'd like? Like, we are humans, so we should expect to feel all the emotions. But if you're these things more often than not, or more often than you like, drop a one. These are all classic signs your body's just not responding to insulin properly. And the great news is, just because we are insulin resistant and that's our place right now, it doesn't mean we have to stay there. It's completely reversible. So when your body becomes insulin sensitive again, everything starts to flow better. So we always talk about, or on my TikTok lives, I talk often about our foundational hormones being insulin and cortisol. When insulin is balanced, your energy will be more steady, your mood lifts, your cravings begin to quiet, and so does all that food noise that's constantly running around. And you finally start losing fat instead of muscle or just water retention. And I think the important thing at our age, ladies, is not to always feel like we're in restriction. Like, if we've been dieting for the last several decades, we have already been in restriction, and we've already had the shame, and we've already had the guilt. So now it's really, at this age, it's about communication. We need to retrain our body to use food as fuel again. And when that happens, fat loss naturally follows. And I know I make it sound easy. If it was easy, all of us would be right there, right? We wouldn't even be on this live. You guys would be out living your life and jumping into those size 4 or 6 or 8 jeans, whatever they are, and just feeling great. But we can take steps to help ourselves get that way. So as I go through these, there's a QR code up at the top, and it's a 1-week meal plan. If you want to grab that, I'm praying the link works. If it doesn't, I'm going to send it to you in email along with this replay. But it's a great synopsis, or a great example of what to eat in a week. So let's just talk about food, because when we realize that the food can be as fuel, and it's the thing that's going to flip the script for us, it changes everything. So often women our age, they live in such restriction that we're not even consuming enough calories to fuel our body. And when we live in such restriction, we're actually amplifying our fat loss problem. Our body's going to store whatever it can hang on to. So it's never going to let go of the fat, because it doesn't know if you're going to eat enough food to keep it moving. So to improve insulin sensitivity, we know these things, but take a screenshot if you want to just keep this in the back of your mind. You want to eat the way that keeps your blood sugar steady, not spiking all day long. So the goal is to eat. We don't need to live in the restriction that we've probably been accustomed to. So simple, focus on low glycemic foods, veggies, berries, beans, lentils, quinoa. Well, I'll hit this one in just a little bit. 20 to 30 grams of fiber. So this is an area that I can fail in really quick. I use chia seed to help boost my fiber like crazy. Flaxseed, avocado, beans. And along with low glycemic, and we often forget this, is adding protein. Protein at every single meal helps stabilize blood sugar. And if you use dense protein, like animal-based protein, you tend to stay fuller longer. And so you're not struggling with cravings as long. And sometime we'll talk more about like dense protein. You know, the culture for dieting is lean meat and egg whites and all these things, and they all have their place, but we want to make sure that we're also eating dense protein food, not high fat, low protein food. For example, an egg, higher in fat, it's lower in protein, but that's a go-to for protein. But it actually is It's not as protein rich as what the calories suggest it could be. Cut down on processed carbs, added sugar. They're like gasoline on a fire. And this really comes down to a choice. When we're out and away from our house, these things typically will fall into our diet. But if we're grocery shopping, we're making the choice right here around this whole processed food thing because we are the ones that are putting it in our cart. So it just takes retraining our brain to, instead of grab a packaged item, to go grab berries. Use food as a strategy to keep your blood sugar in check. So oftentimes it's veggies first. That's not to ignore your protein. Have protein on your plate, but veggies first oftentimes will regulate your blood sugar. Then your protein, then your carbs. So this one's a hard one for me because I kind of like to eat everything all at once. Like I like my balanced plate, but I pick and choose from every food group on my plate. Learning to eat veggies first is just a conscious decision. And I'm getting better at it, but I'm always a work in progress. And so if you feel like, oh, that's a total change from how I eat, we're a work in progress, not looking for perfection, just progress. And of course, a big one, and we know this, stop eating 3 hours before bed. Your metabolism window needs to rest. Your digestion system needs a break. So if you stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed, typically you'll give your body that rest for 12 hours during the night. Through the evening and then into the morning typically is about 12 hours. Now, 3 hours before we go to bed, that is like the ideal, perfect scenario. But does anyone eat sometimes at 7 or 8 o'clock at night? Because like my spouse typically doesn't get home until 7:30. So this eating window of 3 hours before bed is typically a big failure mark for me. It's not real life for me at all. But I also don't get up first thing in the morning and grab food. So I'm still going 12, sometimes 13 hours before I eat. But I understand life happens and you're just like, there's no way. So, okay, you do the best you can with that one and try to follow the other ones more regular. So I always say life does not have to be all or nothing. It just has to be the best it can be. So are any of you doing all of these? Or are any of you doing any of these consistently? And if so, which one? Like which one's like super easy for you? You can drop it in the comments if you want. Okay, as you're doing that, can't help but address reading labels. Oh, nice, Kit, you're doing it, not eating 3 hours before bed. I don't snack after we eat supper, but that 3 hours is an awesome window for me. Cool, I'm glad for you. Okay, let's talk just a little bit about something so simple and yet so very powerful, and that's reading labels. And once you've read the labels, then you don't ever have to read them again because you know. Choosing better foods, more fruits and veggies. Well done, Joyce. Proteins are easy for me. Me too, Amy. Awesome. Okay, because here's the truth around eating healthy. Healthy foods can sometimes hijack your hormones and they slow your progress without you even realizing that you're doing something wrong because you went to the healthy aisle. So there are 3 things I always tell people to look for on a label. And sometimes they're hidden by different words. So seed oils is a big one. Seed oils are the cheap oils like canola, soybean, corn, sunflower, safflower, and cottonseed. And they're everything from salad dressings to protein bars to protein shakes. And the problem is they're highly inflammatory. And the inflammation is the one root cause of hormone disruption, especially for women in midlife. These oils were once used as lubricants for machines. They were a cheap oil. And somehow we discovered back in, what was it the teens or the 20s, that they could be used for food. And that's when they started being used for consumption. They were never designed for that. We cleared the ugly color from them and made them more clear and then started consuming them. So they can be very hormone disrupting. Added sugars. Now, fruit gets a really bad rap because it has sugar in it. Fruit with sugar in it is completely different than foods with added sugar. We don't want to eat fruit all day long, but having fruit is not a bad thing. It is the foods that we buy that have added sugar, and it can be disguised as so many different names. And this disguise shows up in our healthy foods or our so-called healthy foods. So we just need to be mindful of added sugar. And then sugar substitutes are always a no-go. And you'll want to look out specifically for like sucralose, aspartame, saccharin. They can disrupt gut health and increase our cravings. And they seem super harmless because they're always low cal, but they disrupt our gut health big time. And basically, it's confusing your hunger hormones. So your hunger hormones aren't sure if they're getting a real sugar or a fake sugar, and it disrupts. So often we can get missed signals from our hunger hormones. So stick to whole ingredients that you recognize. The fewer ingredients, the better. And if sugar is one of the first ingredients on your label, that's really a red flag. It's not hormone friendly. And this is not about being perfect. I've mentioned this. It's just about being aware. So if you have a favorite snack that happens to come in a package, read the label and just be aware that if this is something that's non-negotiable for you, you're never going to give up, but it's not great for you, think about how you can limit it without restricting it. And then that will be so much better in the long run. Okay, movement. It is a secret weapon. We have to be moving our body. And at our age now, we know if we don't use it, we lose it. We all have examples of people older than us that they've either moved their body throughout their life and they're still moving now. We also have examples of people who chose not that route, and now they're struggling just to help themselves off the toilet. And that's not the life we want. We want to make sure that we're still moving our body. Movement improves insulin sensitivity. So even if you do 10 to 20 minutes of walking, especially after you eat, it can make a huge difference. 30 toe touches or body squats after a meal can lower blood sugar response by 30%. Like such a big difference. And strength training is non-negotiable. For a woman especially, our bone health supports our cardiovascular health, supports our metabolism. Muscle is like a glucose sponge, and it soaks up the sugar and can be used for energy. So it helps keep your metabolism moving. And if you have muscle, you're going to burn calories even when you're sitting watching a Zoom. Your body's still actively burning calories. So I do want to know in the comments. Amy wrote, what about vegetable oil? Vegetable oil is actually not vegetables. So we want to avoid vegetable oil. It's a seed oil. Oh, what oils are best? Yes, olive, yep, avocado, and coconut. You did a brilliant job listing them, Joyce. Thank you so much. So I do want to know who's lifting weights. Drop a 2 in the comments. Who's lifting weights? And then drop a 3 if you're walking daily. So 2 for lifting weights, 3 for walking daily. And then we know great habits, so we're just going to touch on them. I do body weights. Excellent. Way to go. Everyone thinks that body weight is not weight, but think about that. Like if you weigh 130 pounds, 150 pounds, and you're pushing that weight around, that's significant. That's really, really good for us. So women often forget just the secret sauce of developing a healthy lifestyle, but I know that's not you because you're here. 7 to 9 hours of sleep. When we disrupt our sleep by one night, it raises insulin resistance. So it really needs to become a habit. When we sleep, our body's at rest. It can restore, regenerate. It lowers cortisol, all the good things. Manage stress. Isn't that so easy? Cortisol and insulin are best friends, and they are our foundational hormones. And when one goes up, the other goes up. When one's dysregulated, the other one's dysregulated. Stay hydrated. Add minerals. The easiest mineral to add is pink Himalayan salt with a little bit of water and lemon. Super easy. It serves as a really great electrolyte. But then there's good electrolytes just over the counter, like at the market or whatever. Just double check to make sure it doesn't have added sugars or any other hidden synthetic sugars. And then support your gut, your microbiome. Anytime we're focused on our gut health, it helps balance sugar and cravings. And we know that insulin doesn't just affect our waistline, it affects our brain chemistry, which is often why we can feel moody and anxious and all of those things. And in midlife, things just change. So if you're just like, it was so much easier in our 20s and 30s, maybe to lose weight or keep insulin in check, and it probably was. Our lives change. So it's best that we change our mindset with that, or we're going to be stuck in the past and constantly racing on a hamster wheel, wanting what we can't have. Most diets for women in midlife are setting us up to fail. We're told to eat less and move more and cut carbs, but so often that can spike our cortisol. It can slow metabolism. It can worsen insulin resistance. So you're not failing at the diets. The diets are actually failing you. And we're not meant to starve or punish ourselves thin. That being thin isn't worth it. We're meant to nourish and support and heal our metabolism. We're meant to participate in life and not always say no thank you to the birthday cake or the champagne toast or whatever it is. We want to make sure that we're living our best life, especially at this point. We've already lived in restriction for so long. So low calorie, high cortisol, low equals insulin resistance. Skipping meals creates big blood sugar swings. Cheat days. I'm anti-cheat day. I'm actually anti-cheat meal. And here's why. I hate the word cheat. The whole idea of cheat means being dishonest or doing something you're not supposed to be doing. If we live in this mindset that everything has balance, then we don't need to cheat on ourselves or cheat on our diet. You just kind of plan for those things. So I know my husband and I are traveling this weekend. So I need to be more mindful of what's being served a little bit when. I just need to ask like better questions like, when are we eating supper? Oh, what are we having? Because then I can plan like, where's my protein going to fit in? Because I'm not going to get to choose any of the meals this week. I'm eating someone else's cooking, which is great. But I also know it can throw me off diet a little bit. We plan for those things. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And then if you're looking for more support, all these things are exactly why I created the 5-day reset. It's short, simple, powerful way to help jumpstart insulin sensitivity and see fast results. So you'll eat plenty of food. You'll understand low glycemic. I encourage walking and strength training. I provide grocery list of low glycemic foods, helps build confidence and energy. And it helps because we do it with a group accountability and coaching. That's a short 5-day week. We start every Monday. I will be doing one on Monday because I'll be traveling all weekend. I know things are going to be thrown off and I'm just resetting. I'm just coming back to my low glycemic diet. The 21-day metabolism method is a little bit longer program. So it's just a great way to track that in. Hopefully you experience through the 5-day reset a jump start into balancing your blood sugar. And the 21-day is help making those habits that you learn in the 5-day reset more long-term. So your body stays insulin sensitive, your energy stays high, and your results last. So those are the things I have. So many natural, easy things that we can do throughout the day. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And then that will allow us just to visit. If you all have questions or anything like that, we can stay on and do that.